Hello, Christopher. How you doing?
Fantastic. So, how's the Leo King handling the sun attaining its height?
The Leo King is a happy king. He finally got released out on the Sun Jupiter conjunction that happened on Wednesday. So it was like a holy moment for the Leo King, and so I feel really happy. I feel great. I'm so excited. We're at the precipice of some of the biggest change that we're all gonna feel. I mean, this is a big deal this week.
It absolutely is. And I think it's kind of fun that even though we're recording this a little bit in advance, the reality is that this will be aired on the solstice. And that is the sun at its highest point, the sun revealing its true glory, the longest day of the year for those of us in the northern hemisphere. And with that solstice, even though the sun is getting ready to shift into Cancer, or will be shifting into Cancer today, the reality is that all the charts are really going to light up now because we have Sun at zero of Cancer and Jupiter right behind the Sun, getting ready to make its grand entrance into Cancer. So big, big weekend.
This is a really huge weekend right before that full moon and like all this change happening. I mean, the solstice of Cancer is such a powerful and strong spot. I mean, it is that feeling. It is also, it kind of reminds me of the sun card, even though the sun is more of the Leo energy, but it is that energy of the brightness. I mean, it's the longest day of the years on the northern hemisphere, but it is interesting. I think this weekend gives us a window into some of the events that we're going to be going through for all summer. I think that we're getting a taste of kind of the bridge between what we're leaving and what we're coming into. This is like a bridging moment.
It absolutely is. And the interesting thing is that basically Mercury and Venus normally are aspecting something somewhere because they're such rapidly moving planets. And yet today on the solstice, the only interaction that Mercury and Venus have for the entire day is they are conjunct at 22 degrees of Cancer. So we've got Mercury, Venus conjunct in Cancer and toward the tail end of Cancer, and kind of offline with interacting with all the other planets. We've got Mars at 15 of Gemini, so it's kind of offline. And it almost seems like everything is kind of clustered around that idea of Jupiter and the Sun and their grand entrance. So how cool is that?
It's super cool. There's definitely something important to pay attention to with the expansion of our lives, the new adventure. I mean, Jupiter is the adventure planet. It is in the weird space though of it is in its opposite sign. So it's the farthest away from home. And Jupiter coming into Cancer now gets it just that much closer to home. It's actually getting out of almost its, kind of like how a full moon works. This is like breaking off a lot of this heightened energy for Jupiter, and for Jupiter to take a shower. That's been my joke. For us to shower into our emotions and leave a lot of the battle that we've been going through in our minds, and this busy environment. I think that we're gonna actually start to feel and start to see new things again, because Cancer is a cardinal sign, and we're about to step into some solid new roads in our life, some solid new grounds. But it's gonna be a deep summer because Jupiter's getting ready to start a grand trine.
Yeah, absolutely. That interaction on the horizon between Neptune and Saturn sitting out there in the signs of Pisces and Scorpio, and then with Jupiter advancing into Cancer, the sun bringing its warmth in that sign of Cancer and infusing that energy into the other two planets that I mentioned. And good old Pluto sitting there, getting ready to make another proclamation. Pluto is going to be getting the sextile energy from all of this activity as Saturn and Neptune are both in a reasonably close sextile, 5-degree sextile. So a lot of interesting potential is building starting with Friday, moving into Saturday, and then Sunday, yeehaw, we have the full moon.
This is a really interesting full moon. It's happening right before the big change happens, so there's a lot to pay attention to. This is the closing of the door. I think this is the last couple footsteps on the bridge into new waters, not troubled waters. I don't know if you remember that old Simon Garfunkel, but you know, it is us really coming into new waters, new territories, and emotionally, we're going to start to play this Capricorn Cancer tune, which the universe is now shifting everything towards, you know? I mean, this is where Pluto is in Capricorn, like you brought up. Now we've got the sun, we've got Jupiter about to enter here. Emotionally, there's a lot to look at. There's a lot to make sure that we pay attention to this big change that's happening in Capricorn, which is this structure of our lives, these rules we live by, a little bit more of the colder energy, right? You know, Capricorn is cold and Cancer is really warm. And so these are new aspects, the cold and hot water, and all this stuff is aspecting Uranus and Aries, which has been kind of these cardinal points. So things are really building for strong forward movements. You know, it's time for us to really make some really powerful decisions in our life, and they're really going to be based on how we feel and, you know, where that warm energy is, but it's going to take leaving behind a lot of that cold, that old cold energy that holds you back.
Exactly. And the other thing that's nice about what's happening now with Uranus is it continues to advance forward in Aries. Pluto is retrograde and moving that square that we've been frustrated with for a long time, because every time something would set off that Uranus-Pluto square, turn it into a T-square or something like that, we would see a lot of social upheaval. We would see events that hit the headlines. And now as we move into the summer, there's going to be a continuance of this diminishing of that somewhat negative interaction. So again, it gives us that sense that there is a clearing now coming, and most of the things that have been creating problems for us really should be dissolving. We should really see them just kind of fade away like wispy clouds that dissolve in a bright azure blue sky.
And you know what? Let's be honest, Chris. Really, you're completely right. I mean, if there are problems, and I think this full moon will highlight them, they're emotional, and we're moving into the space, you know, are you set in the right system of your life, you know? And Pluto and Uranus are working to make sure that you find a new self, that you leave behind, you know, the old concrete of how your life is built, and that you're not afraid to move forward into the new you. So if there are problems, it is going to take big changes now. One thing about cardinal signs is in mutable that we just left, you know, they're changes, and they're constant, and they're kind of like all over. With cardinal, it's start over, start new, start fresh. This is about fresh new starts now. So Jupiter leaving Gemini gives us the ability now to say, it's done. We're done with this. We're clearing the waters. I want this. I feel for this. Because I think what Saturn in Scorpio is doing is cutting away all the bull crap. It's cutting away the things that are not necessary. It's only bringing us to a true energy, a true deep connection for what we want, what we desire. And with Mercury and Venus together during this, you know, conjunction and during this full moon, we have all the right people around. We also need to pay attention to, are we sure that we're not in relationships that are actually reflecting the wrong parts of ourselves? Because wouldn't you agree that relationships are reflections of who we are?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody in your life is like a layer of who you are. So if you take all of the participants in your life, the negative ones and the positive ones, and combine them, run them through the blender, then you will see who you really are. And the thing about the cardinal signs also is that they like to dig in their heels. They're tenacious. They really, you know, want to establish something that has a potential for being around for a long time. And for those of you who have friends who are Capricorn or Cancer, Aries, or Libra, you'll notice that they don't like to just dismiss people. They don't like to just let people go. I mean, you really have to do something horrific in order to have them push you out the back door. And that's the energy that we've got this weekend. Is that whatever we start to set into motion, it's going to have that tenacity. It's going to have that staying power, hopefully. And if you're working with the energy, you'll see that. So launching the Leo King in this timeline is just perfect, because that website is going to stick. It's going to be around.
Oh, well, thank you. And I think for everybody, what we do now is going to stick. So pay attention to what it is that you're doing, because in Gemini, you can make the changes fast. You can alter things quick. You can change them in a day. You can change your mind really fast. In Cancer, feelings are a lot harder to change. That's why Jupiter, I think, has a little bit more difficulty in Cancer, because feelings go a long way. They actually reflect through all of our lives. That's why the past is represented by Cancer. That's why the bottom of an astrology chart is where Cancer is. So we're actually going to, I think, be unearthing, especially because you got Saturn in the mix and Scorpio, and you've got Neptune and Pisces, talk about more past life karma and stuff that is part of the new that we haven't dealt with yet. It's all coming. And in our lives, how we feel and what we're going to put out there is going to stick. So be very wary of what you're putting out there. Pay attention to how you're starting to feel, because you don't want to concrete your life. That's what Pluto and Capricorn is. Be careful, because it almost has a supercharger on how fast the concrete dries.
It does. It absolutely does.
Yeah.
And then as we're moving into the weekend, this full moon coming up is real interesting, because now we're really beginning to see the hesitation that is building with Mercury, because all of a sudden on the full moon day on Sunday, Mercury is lagging behind Venus, and normally Mercury is the faster moving of the two planets. So now we have Venus advancing beyond Mercury, and that tells us that Mercury is getting ready to go into retrograde itself. So this is a time, Sunday is a good time for you to review everything and to look deeply into a lot of the things that you may have been taking for granted, because when Mercury goes retrograde, all of those things are going to show up on your doorstep. So I would say it's a good time to prepare yourself for Mercury retrograde during Sunday and the advance into the coming week.
Yeah, and Mercury is not gonna make it out of Cancer, but Venus,
Right.
Venus goes into Leo, so Venus is all happy. Venus loves Leo. I got Venus Leo, so I know, but it's interesting that Venus is excited because there's a party in Leo for her. But Mercury is not too happy, because Mercury has to now reflect on the feelings inside, and especially because Venus made this really interesting contact to Mercury. I think it's embedded in, there's so much still with relationships going on. I think people going back and forth. Should we go together? Should we not? I think there's a lot of questions internally of how we feel about our partnerships, because this is also all this water energy that's starting to build up. This is all past. These are events. These are emotional events. And now Mercury is going to go retrograde this week while we have Jupiter come into Cancer. So the universe really wants us to pay attention to what's going on deep inside of us, what's going on in that soul, how are we feeling. We don't have to think so much anymore in our mind games. Now it's just getting down to the nitty-gritty. It's getting down to our real feelings.
Exactly. And interestingly enough, as Mercury starts heading backwards and Uranus is continuing to advance, there will be that potential for a little fireworks coming up if you're not working on clearing your karma, because they will fall into square in a couple of weeks. So then we'll have Uranus going forward, but starting to slow down, and we'll have Mercury squaring it and saying, are you telling the truth? Are you putting it out there the way it really is? Because if not, it'll blow up in your face.
That's exactly right. Karma, 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 and fast drying concrete. So,
Yes.
oh gosh, there's not much wiggle room, and we're kind of comfortable in the wiggle room. That's what that Jupiter Gemini. I mean, this year was just so many crazy events and things and changes and da da da. Now things are going to be like right in your face, and you're going to feel it. And you don't want to get stuck in that concrete or that past life karma, because you do got Neptune in the mix in Pisces. But the really good news of this week is, it's exciting to be in change. Change that is the clearing that you brought up. It is exciting for us to see Jupiter come into another sign because it is a new adventure of us all. It is a new ticket somewhere different. And I think we're all ready for that. And this rare event of a powerful grand trine that we get for a lot of this summer is something that doesn't happen all the time, with especially some really powerful planets involved. And we're really coming into some magic now. This is more of the magic. I think we had a lot of clearing with what happened with all the Gemini energy. Gemini is the busy stuff. It is our clutter in our littlest places. And before we get to the real deep stuff, we got to get rid of all the clutter. We got to get rid of, it's like, when you go to a birthday party and they got glitter and they got like balloons and everything, you got to clear all that stuff out. And so we can see what we're dealing with. I think we're getting, one thing about Capricorn and Cancer is it gets down to the nitty gritty, and it is whether or not you have the ability to reach tall as well. Do you have a solid foundation or a root in order for you to achieve your goals? And what's been happening in a lot of people's lives is they've been wanting to be achieving their goals. They're wanting to make their successes happen. But what's been reflecting in the wrong manner is this Cancer energy, which I think is why now it's time to highlight this.
Exactly. And once again, I'll point out that, one of your favorite topics are the nodes, and we've got the nodes continuing to move through Taurus and Scorpio, and that south node in Scorpio spilling out all of that that karmic rebound, I guess you could say, is something that I think we need to kind of pay a little bit of attention to also.
It's a lot to pay attention to because this is, like we say, it's a no BS zone. This is the truth coming out. And especially as we come into Tuesday and we've got Jupiter switching into gears here. I mean, this is going to be a week where you can't, you're not going to be able to truly, like, you're going to come in the week seeing one thing and it's going to all feel different. And this week is going to be like a woo woo. You're going to feel the matrix shift. There's, in the matrix, it's when you see the cat go twice and they're changing the matrix. It's like things are twitching here. So pay attention to the twitches, especially Mercury going stationary retrograde. Oh my gosh. There is a pausing moment. I always look at Mercury direct or Mercury retrograde stationary as a snapshot Polaroid of your life. Like, this is a moment to snapshot. The universe wants you to snapshot it. And we're going to review this snapshot for the next, it's going to be weeks. It's going to be, Mercury's in Cancer for a long time. It doesn't get out of Cancer, not even until August. So, yeah, there's a snapshot about to be taken this week, Tuesday and Wednesday. I'd say those 2 days. Pay attention to the snapshot in your life. That's what you're going to be reviewing for a while.
Right. And that transition of everything, thundering through Cancer, except for Mercury, which will be going backwards, and then advancing into Leo. So by the time Mercury actually turns around and starts to catch up with everybody else in Leo time, we're going to see a lot of communication that has been completely disjointed, completely offline, all of a sudden hit us with that the sun fusion of Leo energy. So when Mercury does step into Leo, then everything that has not been communicated, everything that you have not gotten back to people about, it's all going to be like a flood. So it's going to be important to stay on top of things during Mercury's backwards journey in Cancer, because if you don't, when Mercury does finally get into Leo, you're going to get slammed.
Wow, that's a really good point to look at. And one thing I want to bring up, because this kind of reminds me of a lot of this energy, is Jupiter moving out of Gemini into Cancer means the talk's over. It's time to walk the walk, you know? And it's a lot like a home, a family. You don't let many people in your house. Let's be honest. You got to trust them. You got to feel like you're connected with them. This is us kind of putting up these little energy, you know, barriers in our life. We were talking a lot. Now it's time to see if you can put your money where your mouth is. That's also Capricorn, but you know, that's like where we're at now. So the positive is for people who want to be successful. This is a year of success because no more are people talking, people are walking, but you've got to be in the circle of trust. I think that's part of this whole grand trine and part of the old karma coming back. You know, we did this in this life, we're coming back together. I think that that's the energy that's stirring throughout this summer. And because all the planets are retrograde, and especially Mercury, and now, you know, almost all the planets are retrograde, let's be honest, this is a review time to see what you're going to be working on for a year. This doesn't mean that gung-ho, everything's going to come together for you right away right now. You know, this is a magical time. But remember, with magic, you're just sitting at the round table now. That doesn't mean that you're going to walk in there and it's Pizza Hut being delivered to you right away. I mean, life isn't built that way.
Exactly. And, you know, the final thing I'll note here is that Jupiter is happy in all three of the water signs. And when Jupiter enters Cancer, we'll have the two other water signs coming online with it. So I think that this coming week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to see a somewhat profound sense of optimism start to really hit. You know, for a lot of the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks, we have vacillated. We believe, yeah, I can do it. And then tomorrow you get up and you go, oh, crap, I don't think I'm going to be able to handle it. So now the optimism of all that watery Jupiter, Neptune, Saturn energy and trine to each other, Jupiter is really going to pull everybody forward and create a wake of its own.
Yeah, I mean, it is a big change. And the positive is Chiron has been in a battle with Gemini for, you know, we've been going through it for a year. Chiron's about to join a fun party with her. So the healing's going to come a lot easier now. Seriously, it is. Now, the only thing that might not feel like it is Pluto-Uranus squaring, which is something that I think we've covered, where as long as you're advancing, as long as you're trying new ways to access your life, you're not being stuck in the same old, you know, pony show, you know, you're going to be fine, you know, but it's teaching us to evolve. It's teaching you to keep pushing forward. You'll be fine. But it's when you get stuck that you do the conservative route that you don't want, you know, you don't want to put the work in or put the confidence in or put that extra ump into things. And it's going to be hard. And especially with all these planets and cardinal signs now, like, why do you think the sun has to keep going in cardinal signs? It's the seasons. The cardinal signs are the seasons, right? You know? So these are seasons changing in your life. Leave behind, it's no longer spring, it's summer. And if you're down there in Australia, you know, enjoy the snow chains and everything, you know, it's that time.
Exactly. Well, our card for the solstice, very appropriate. We have the Ace of Rods, and this is one of my favorite cards. I mean, it's really so energetic. And in this particular deck that I use, which is the Robin Wood Tarot deck, it's incredibly phallic. So it is filled with potential. It is, you know, that orgasm of light and warmth and joy and all of the things that we associate with summer. Then we've got a full moon coming up on Sunday. The card for that is the High Priestess. And once again, I think this full moon is going to be very rife with a lot of dreams, a lot of flash insights. Intuition is going to really spike with this full moon. So it would be a good day. Sunday would be a good day for you to do your meditation work and catch up on your dream journal, go back and review the past. Then we move into a week with that Jupiter attraction energy, and we have the lovers. And you know, once again, it's all about the sun. The sun is that force that creates a synergy that brings all of the yin and yang together and produces an extension of life, a furtherance of life. But this also has kind of the essence of magnetism, magnetic attraction. So this coming week, you can attract things into your life that you have been wanting for a long time, but haven't been able to realize. And by the end of the week, early harvest. So back here in the Midwest right now, we've got strawberries coming in. You know, it's one of the first crops that we have. We can go out and pick strawberries, which are a wonderful, delightful way to greet the summer. And that's what this card is about, is the harvest is starting to come available to us. We can actually start to see the results of our labor, the results of our efforts.
Wow, this is a great week. I love that we got the lovers card for in the middle, especially with Mercury and Venus that are in each other for this weird little transition that's happening there. It goes so well with what's happening. And it's just all about moving forward, everybody. Like, let's leave behind the past. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. Let's move forward now. This will be a point that you remember moving forward with. And things are gonna feel a lot different. You don't have to worry about what happened, especially last year. Those were crazy feelings we went through. Those were some gnarly changes we went through. I mean, we're not going back to them no matter what we can think in our heads. That energy's finally moving off. Would you agree?
Oh, it absolutely is. I think that we're going to start seeing people who have very chaotic charts that were really getting slammed with all of this confrontational energy. They're going to start feeling a lot more comfortable now. They're going to start feeling like, oh, I'm not crazy. That crazy energy is going to start to really dissipate this week. And then as we move into the depths of Cancer time, into Leo time, and then into Virgo time, I think all of us are going to feel a lot more like life is being restored to some level of sanity.
Yes, I mean, these are the signs now, the chest, the heart, and the stomach of the summer. This is our meat and potatoes of our soul, of our body at least, and our soul, our heart, our sun vibration, our moon. This is the moon, you know, the moon rules Cancer. These are very personal energies that we deal with Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. Very personal, very intimate inside. That's why you always feel summer. That's why you always feel it. You know, you feel it. You're in it. It's almost like the happiest moments. And I think pay attention to these moments and use your summer wisely. You know, this is when you don't want to waste away.
Exactly.
Because
And
great
don't be
time to do
afraid
that.
to don't be afraid to enjoy the early harvest too, because I think that we will be, you know, that I'm using that as a metaphor, but I think we are going to be able to harvest some of the rewards that we've been looking for all the effort we've been putting into life.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Chris, and thank you guys all for sharing it. You know, this thing keeps getting greater and greater, and we can't do it without you. So we thank you guys so much for the support.
Yes, everybody get out there and have a fabulous, fabulous solstice and embrace summer, all the warmth and joyousness of summer.
Yeah, and this isn't a full moon to worry about. I've read some astrologers and the big ones, we just won't name names, saying super moon, and blah, blah, blah. Like this one's so connected with some great energy. Like enjoy this one, release. It's time
Well,
that
and
you can.
in reality, this is the second supermoon of this year. I mean, it's slightly bigger than the full moon we had in May, but the reality is that the truth of the matter is that this is a moon for celebration, not for fear
Yeah.
and negative expectations.
It's the graduation for us, you know, and the beginning of the new chapter. So, and you got Saturn and you got Neptune hanging out with both sides pretty positively. So I would not worry about this one at all.
Right, exactly.
and Uranus ain't doing much to it. And I mean, we're clear. This one is clear and beautiful. Nothing to worry about. Enjoy this.
Have fun. Well, thanks a lot, David, for another delightful discussion. And like you said, it's now up to our viewers to share the love.
Yep. Well, thank you. And thank you guys for all your support. The Leo King is out. Thank you.
Well, see you in a week.
Bye.